right there at about 40 yards. Wowza, that's pretty cool.
Well, this week, or this episode, is a story that's not quite as long as some of them that we tell. You know, usually if it's a deer that's harvested on my farm, we've got a lot of history with him, pick up a lot of antlers and so on and so forth, sheds. Not this one. This is a deer that started a couple of years ago, but I'm gonna fast forward just a little bit. We started by grabbing a Reconyx picture, and all of a sudden this big deer emerges from the fog. And we didn't know who he was. It was really, really, really foggy. Couldn't exactly make him out. All we knew was that he was a giant. He was a big deer. And as he emerged from that fog, and we didn't know his identity, his true identity, we were trying to come up with a name, and Forrest said, why don't we call him Batman? And that name stuck. That's exactly who we called him, Batman, from that day forward.
This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by Hawk, designed for those who push their limits to hunt stronger, safer, and smarter. Hunt from above.
Well, just like the real Batman, Adam West, who was Bruce Wayne after his identity was revealed, we finally figured out who Batman was. After studying a lot of trail camera pictures and looking at him and trying to figure out who he was and how he blew into this giant, we figured out that it was a deer that we had an encounter with 2 years prior, and it was a phenomenal encounter. I had a ton of pictures of him, some velvet pictures of him. Had a beautiful frame, real heavy mass, a wall of tines, but he had an inside flyer. And that deer was a deer that we had just nicknamed him the Inside Flyer at the time. Well, the encounter that we had with him, he had broken that flyer off, and we knew who it was, but he had a standoff out in the middle of an alfalfa field that was already burnt down. It was the latter part of the season, and the cold temperatures had got to it. But all of a sudden, he and his coyote were face to face on the field, and it was absolutely glorious in our opinion. We thought it was beautiful just to watch those two. You know, they kind of danced around each other just a little bit, and nothing became of it. But from that day forward, we were really concerned as to whether or not he was going to make it to the following year.
Well, that buck literally gave us every opportunity you could ever ask for. Came right in here and posed real pretty. That coyote was out there, and he was kind of playing a little standoff, couldn't decide what to do.
So that was 2 years prior, and we had quite a few pictures of him, obviously, but we wanted to kind of follow him the following year and see what he blew into, and we got quite a few trail camera photos of him, but we just never ran into him, never laid an eyeball on him an entire season, and we never saw that deer one time from a stand. All we got were the Reconyx pictures, and we were wondering, you know, was he going to make it through another season? And by golly, he did.
The results are in.
DeerCast was spot on.
DeerCast predicted great.
Great. It was great.
DeerCast says great, get in the woods.
Hunters love DeerCast's exclusive deer movement forecast. Get ahead of your game with DeerCast.
Well, as the seasons roll on, and Forrest and I were over there religiously looking at pictures, trail camera photos, you know, Reconyx is a part of our life. And we had not had another picture of that deer until one day, as I stated in the open, he emerged from the fog just like Batman on Mark's birthday, of all things, October the 13th. Brother Mark somehow had something to do with that, I guess, but we didn't know who he was at the time. And after we got that picture, then he started showing up more and more. And all of a sudden we started getting quite a few pictures of him, quite a few photos. And we were like, all right, boy, this deer has blown into an absolute toad, a giant. So now we've got our sights set on him. How are we gonna approach this chest patch? Well, as the season progressed, we were hunting him and just didn't see him. Never saw him off stand, never saw the other shooter either. We spent and logged a lot of hours, a lot of time, and we knew it was gonna be a little cumbersome and a little more gruesome this year. The moon wasn't exactly the way we wanted it. The day that we set out and didn't know how the outcome would be, we sat in the timber for roughly 7.5 hours. We didn't eat breakfast, didn't eat lunch, and all of a sudden at 1:30 in the afternoon, we said, you know what, we have to make a move. We were seeing very little. It was pretty slow in the timber. Let's go sit on some cut corn. And that's exactly what we did. We rushed around and made the move that was necessary.
First little shaver out there on the field, so it's a good thing it's 20 to 4. We're hoping that this movement really picks up because it was slow this morning. We sat in one spot for 7.5 hours and we said, okay, let's make a move. We don't know if it's the right move or the wrong move. We'll find out, but we just didn't see much, and the moon was up all day today, so we thought they should have been up on their feet and feeding, but it set at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we always say the temperature trumps moon. There's another doe just walked out. Temperature trumps moon, so maybe that's temperature will put them on food. That's what we're hoping.
Well, you never know how important DeerCast is and what it does to us as far as driving us and making us do some things. And making that move to go from the timber to sit that cut corn was all because of DeerCast. When it said great, I knew we had to get to a spot where I thought we would see more than one deer or see multiple deer. And that's exactly what happened. The moon had just set and all of a sudden these deer started popping out of the woodwork prior to them going to bed. And as luck would have it, who shows up on that field after and nudging these few does around, but there he was. Batman flew right into our life.
Batman? Oh, okay. We gotta put our side curtains up. Maybe I'll push them on through. Oh, good. They're going. Do you want me to put the side curtains up? Yes. Ready? Yep.
Good Lord, where'd that hit him at?
You drilled him.
That's what I thought. Tip over. Boom. Crazy. Crazy. That's wild.
Well, it wasn't chunky, but it's Batman. We had two deer that we were looking for, and he's one of them. And he's laying right there at about 40 yards. Wowza, that's pretty cool. Great stuff. We made a move, and we sat in the timber this morning, and it just was slow as all get out. It was really, really slow this morning. We said, you know what? Let's make a move. Let's try to get to the cut corn. I mean, we rushed to get back here. We grabbed a couple of potato chips and a cracker and a bottle of water and said, let's get there. And we did just that, and there he lays right there. Great buck, too. Great deer. Good stuff. Whoopee. That's good stuff, buddy.
Oh, he's big. Jeez. He's bigger than I thought he was. He's nice. Well, DeerCast said great, and great it was. This is a deer that we nicknamed Batman because we didn't know who he was and couldn't figure out who he was. So all of a sudden we started getting Reconyx pictures of him, and then the chess match is on. We had 2 shooters in particular that we were looking for, and he was one of them. And he just worked in like a charm, but it says something about the cold front. We had extremely cold temperatures today. I think the high was in the low 20s, so they were up on their feet and moving. And we sat a spot this morning, didn't have the movement down there in the hollow that we thought we should, and we were in the deep timber, so we said, let's get out of the timber, get close to food, and that's exactly what we did. And boy, oh boy, what an evening. And I cannot say enough good things about Traditions, the nitro fire, and the job it did on him. Thank you, Allison and Tom. Everything you guys do is just absolutely phenomenal. This nitro fire has changed our life. So, with that being said, history is made here behind Batman.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV was brought to you by Leupold.